Welcome back. This is our third day discussion on functions in Python. Today's discussion will be on returning values from a function. That means the function after computing it's going to return some value. So we are going to discuss exactly that.
Now look at this piece of code. This is a function which is accepting two numbers as parameters, finding their sum and returning it. Returning in the sense it returns a value. A function can return just a single value, and this value will be returned to the place wherever it was invoked. Now look at the main function, p equal to sum 5 comma 6. Now forget about this part. Let's see this. Sum 5 comma 6. The name of the function is sum. The value 5 goes to variable a, the value 6 goes to variable b. So c equal to 5 plus 6, that is 11. Return c is going to return 11. Now as mentioned earlier, it's going to return the value to the place wherever it was invoked. So the value 11 will be returned out here. So this entire thing gets replaced by the value 11. So p will be 11. Print p, it's going to definitely display 11. Now look at this. P equal to sum 7 comma 8. Same thing happens. 7 goes to A, 8 goes to B. C equal to 7 plus 8, that is 15. Print return C is going to return 15 where to the place wherever it was called. So this place will be getting replaced by 15. So P will be 15. So print P is going to display 15. From here we understand the return statement is used to return a single value from a function. And once the return statement is executed, no other statement beyond it gets executed. That means return has two purposes. Return is going to return a value to the place wherever it was invoked, the function was invoked, and also it is used to exit from a function. Now let's do a much more practical example where we are going to take a number as parameter and find the sum of the digits. And in the main, I'm going to accept two integers as parameters and find the sum of the digits of each of these numbers. Now look at this example which I have written out here. This function definition is which accepts a number as parameter and find the sum of its digits. Here when I talk about number, I mean integers. Now look at the main part. Out here I am accepting a value from the user inside the variable a using the input function, and then I am also accepting another number into variable b. Now look at the third statement over here. P equal to sum a. What am I doing? I am passing the value a, that means the value which is entered by the user, which is stored in variable a, to this particular a. Remember, this a has nothing to do with this a. This a is local to the function sum, and this a is local to the main part. So here I am passing the value of a to this particular function. Here the sum of the digits are happening, and then return the sum. So now the sum is being returned to the variable p. Similarly, the second number is then passed to this variable a. The sum of the digits are being found out, and then its sum is being returned, which is then stored in q. And ultimately I am displaying the sum of the digits of the two numbers, that is p and q. So here when I execute it, what actually happens is it gives me a message, enter a number. Say I give 125. Followed by the enter key. When I input the next number, enter another number. Suppose I input 72. Now see what is happening. The value 125 goes to the variable a, and 72 gets inside the variable b. So p equal to sum a. So what is happening? I am passing the value 125 to variable a. Now here the sum of the digits are being added and then return s. So what will happen is it's going to add up all these digits, that is 5 plus 2 plus 1, that is 8. And then it will get stored inside variable p. And in the second case, when 72 is being passed, the sum of the digits of 72 is being returned, that is 9, which gets stored in variable q. So when I display p and q, it's going to display, in the first case, it is going to display 8, and q, it's going to display 9. That is 8 is the sum of the digits of 125, and 9 is the sum of the digits of the number 72. Look how practical this particular example is.
Now I'm going to show you the working on my computer. Okay, now you can see uh, my computer screen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a function that's going to return some value. Let's start with the example which we had already done on board. So we'll begin with def as usual and then followed by some function a comma b, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the sum and return this to the place where it is invoked. So c equal to a plus b, and then I'm going to return the value of c. And here in the main part, the usual convention, writing the main using a comment, that is prefixing with a hash. And here what I'm going to do is p equal to sum, say 5 comma 6. So what it is going to do is it's going to pass, what I'm doing is I'm passing the value of 5 to a and 6 to b, and this is getting added and it's being returned. The value returned is being stored in p, and what I can do is I can display the value of p. So I can print a small message like sum. This will give me a good prompt string along with that p. It's a good programming practice. Okay, click on run module. Okay, I need to save it first. Let's name it as demo 3 and click on save, and there you can see the output, that is sum equal to 11. Now very simple, this function returns a certain value which I am displaying out here. Now what we can do is the value which is being returned may be used for something else. Say for example, I'm going to pass two values. In fact, let's do something. We are going to accept two values as input, two numbers as input, and I'm going to find the sum, and this sum I'm going to find it inside a function, and the value which it returns, that is the sum which it returns, I'm going to check whether it is even or odd in the main area. So this is what I'm going to do right now in this particular program. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to accept two numbers as input. So a comma b, we are going to input eval input, enter two numbers, we can do that, and we'll see how the output works. And then what do we have? A comma b, I'm going to pass, and it's going to display, no displaying. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check whether the computed result, that is the result which the function is going to return, which gets stored inside the variable p, I'm going to check whether that is even or odd. So the usual technique, if p modulus 2 is equal to 0, then we can display print and display even, otherwise we are going to display odd. So I'll just modify this, even, otherwise. So else print, we can display odd. So this is what we are going to do. Now let's run this. Okay, run module. Okay, it requires to be saved. So enter two numbers, that's the first thing which you are getting over there. So let's give two numbers, so 7 comma 5. So 7 plus 5, please remember it's 12, and 12 gets stored inside the variable p, and p will be even because 12 is an even number, so it should give even. Yeah, that's it. So we'll try executing once again the program. So click on run and click on run module, and this time, okay, let me input 7 comma 4. Okay, so this time odd because 7 plus 4 adds up to 11, which is odd. Now what was important out here is the value which is being returned, that is after computation, whatever it returns may be used for some other kind of processing. So here I'll demonstrate one more uh, program where what I'm going to do is I'm going to check whether a given number is a prime number or not. So what I'm going to do is after doing that, I'm going to check uh, now this particular function which I'm going to check, which is prime or not, the function is going to return either a true or a false. Remember the Boolean literals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to accept a number as parameter, that you can see the variable a, and then I'm going to check whether the number a is a prime number or not by returning a true or a false. And in the main area, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check whether the function returns a uh, true or a false. So if it returns true, what does it mean? It means that it's a prime number. So I'm going to display that message. Otherwise, I'm going to display it's not a prime number. So that is what I'm going to do. So here I'm going to do the usual checking. If a modulus I equal to 0, then I'm going to put a counter C plus plus, or rather C equal to C plus 1. We can initialize C with 0 out here. And here what I'm going to do is I'm going to check if the value of C is equal to 2. Then what I can do is I can return true. Otherwise, else I can return false. This is what I can do out here. So that's it. This should do. And in the main area, what I'm going to do is I'm going to accept a number as input. So I can just modify this. Enter a number instead of numbers. Enter a number, and this number I'm going to pass it to the function prime, and this time just one parameter. And if it is true, so I can write p equal to true, or I can simply write p, then it's prime. I can print a message prime, else I can print a message not prime. So this is what I can do. So let me run this program. Okay, it's asking me for a number, say for example 17, which has to be a prime number, so it's a prime number. Now here, please remember, I may not write this if p is equal to 2 true. By default, it always checks for the value true. So if p is good enough, as writing it as if p is equal to true. So let's see how the program works when executed. Okay, this time let me give say 12, which is not a prime number, so it gives not a prime number. So you can check it that way also. And something very interesting about functions in Python is you can return more than one value. It is not necessary that you are going to return just a single value like most of the languages. Some of you have already learned languages like C++, Java, where you could return just one value. In Python, it is nothing of that sort. You can return multiple values. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a small function, a very simple function, say named as rectangle, which is going to find the area of a rectangle, that is length into breadth. And of course, length and breadth, I'm going to take it as parameter, as well as I'm going to find the perimeter of that particular rectangle. And I'm going to return both the values together. So let's start with it. So here is a rectangle. So let me give the name of the function as rectangle, and I'm going to take two variables, say L and B, as length and breadth. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the area. A is equal to L into B. So that will give me the area. And now for the perimeter, P equal to twice into length plus breadth. Just a recollection of whatever you have learned during your childhood. Return, so A, that is area as well as perimeter. So this is what we are going to do. Now let's see how to accept these values. That is, how do we, once we get the value, how do we use it? So P equal to this, enter a number, fine, enter the, let me do something, enter the length and breadth. Enter the length and breadth. Let's write it this way. So I'll take two variables, say L and B. The variables need not be same. Just for simplicity, I'm using the same variable names only. You know that this we have already learned in the first video, that the variables are all local to each of these functions. So length and breadth. And this time this function is going to return two values. So you should be having two variables on the left hand side of the equal to accept these two values. So we'll have A to get the area and P to get the perimeter. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to display both of them. So here I'm going to display print area equal to, and here I'm going to display the area, comma A, and in the next print statement I'm going to display the perimeter. Now this is a very unique feature of Python. Unlike most of the contemporary languages, it can return more than one value. So this is a very interesting concept. Those who are doing uh, functions for the first time, you see there were no languages prior to Python which could do this. So you are finding a extraordinary language out here. It's quite interesting. Okay, let's see how it executes. Okay, click on OK. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to input enter the length and breadth. Let the length be 7 and the breadth be 3, and let's see what we get. Okay, so area is 21 and perimeter is 20. That's it. That is how we can return more than one value. Just one last thing which I want to tell you is a function, when it returns a value, it is not necessary that you need to store it into a variable. You may directly use that function for processing. For example, say for example, this function, I'm going to revert back to returning a single value. Say for example, this function is going to return the area. So it's going to return the area only. And here what I'm going to do is, instead of storing it into a variable, I can directly write it. So this is simply a way of writing. Some of you already must have got it, what I'm trying to tell. So you can simply write rectangle length comma breadth. Now what will happen is, the perimeter is not necessary because this function is returning just a single value. So this function is going to return the area, and this value of area gets returned out here. So print, it's going to directly print that value. So it is not necessary that you need to store it into a variable and then do any kind of processing. It can be directly be printed. It can be directly be used for calculations even. So let me execute it and let's see what is the resultant, whether it gives me the same answer or not. So the length and breadth, so 5 and 2, and there you can see that it's still giving me the answer. That's it. I believe you understood how a function returns a value, and like the other videos I have posted, even this video will be followed by assignments, and I expect you to do the assignments and post it into my mailbox. Thank you.